Amber Heard, lie exposure versus narcissist defense. Picture this. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor and welcome back to a thorough examination of the cross-examination that took place of Amber Heard by Camille Vasquez. We now move on to some pictures, which demonstrates yet more aspects of the narcissistic dynamic and enables you to watch firsthand Heard's behavior and then have it analysed by me, enabling you to understand far more about what's really going on with Amber Heard and how she responds to the behaviours around her. Let's go straight to the next section of the footage.
I'd like to show you a picture that's already admitted into evidence. It's Defendant's Exhibit 799. This is you at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, when you got your domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
It is.
And next to you is a woman named Jody Gottlieb, right?
Yes.
Jody Gottlieb is your publicist?
And dear friend.
Yeah. Now I'd like to show you what's been marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1316. This is a picture of you and your friend Rocky Pennington, right?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to move to admit this photograph.
Any objection to 1316?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 1316 in evidence. You can publish to the jury.
This is a picture of you on May 28th, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know when this was taken.
This is the day after you obtained the domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
I have no idea when this image was taken. I did not take it.
There's no bruise on your face in this picture, is there?
Again, I don't know when this was taken, and also I'm outside. I was obviously wearing makeup. I have no idea when this was taken, so I have no idea if I can speak to what bruise you can see or not.
Let's refresh your recollection about when this picture was taken. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1315, just for the witness? This is an article dated May 30th, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's what it says, yes.
And this article contains the same photograph of you and Miss Pennington we were just looking at, yes?
Yes, I see that.
And the article is entitled, Amber Heard Smiles as She Puts Arm Around Friend One Day After Getting Restraining Order Against Johnny Depp. Is that what the title says?
I know that's what the title says, yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit and publish the article with everything but the headline and date and the photo redacted.
Objection, Your Honor. That's inconsistent from the way you treated all of these.
I'll sustain the objection. All right, next question.
Let's take a look at picture Plaintiff's Exhibit 1317. This is also a picture of you and Miss Pennington on May 28th, 2016, isn't it?
I don't know when this photo was taken, but it looks like the same outing as the picture prior.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit and publish Plaintiff's Exhibit 1317.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 1317 in evidence. You can publish.
There's no bruise on your face in this picture either, right?
I disagree. If it is taken when you represent it was taken, then obviously there's a bruise on my face. It's covered by makeup, as per usual.
Let's zoom out of that picture for a moment, please. Thanks, Tom. That's Josh Drew in this picture, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Miss Pennington?
That is correct.
In there too?
That is
Ms.
correct.
Pennington submitted a sworn statement on your behalf in support of your domestic violence restraining order, didn't she?
I believe she did, yes.
Mr. Drew also submitted a statement in support of your domestic violence restraining order.
I believe they both did, yes.
Ms. Heard, I'd like to show you Defendant's Exhibit 512, which is already in evidence. You've seen this photograph before, right?
I have.
On the second day of your direct testimony, you testified that this was taken in the downstairs of the main apartment on December 15th, 2015. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, I believe so.
So it's your testimony that Defendant's Exhibit 512 reflects damage to Penthouse 5 that occurred during the December 15th, 2015 incident. Yes?
I'm not quite sure from what incident this is when I see this photo in a vacuum without context.
let's give you that context. Can we please, thanks, if I could have day 16 trial testimony? Your Honor, may we approach?
All right.
Could you please turn first to page 4585?
Sorry, 1 second.
Specifically starting on line 16, where it says, let's talk about December 15th, 2015.
You said 4585. I'm on 4485. Sorry, you said 4585.
4585.
Pardon.
Line 16. Line 16, where it says, let's talk about December 15th, 2015. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you see that your testimony about December 15th, 2015 follows?
Let's see. It's just the first line or two. Yes.
Okay. Now I'd like you to turn to page 4603. Starting at line 12. 4603. Starting at line 12 and going on to page 4604, line 4.
Okay.
And do you see that you testify that Defendant's Exhibit 512, which is on the screen,
Yes.
is a picture of the downstairs of the main apartment?
That's correct.
And the main apartment is Penthouse 5 in the Eastern Columbia building, right?
No, well, depends on what. The main apartment's penthouse 3, generally, when we say main apartment.
Penthouse 5 was where you had your closet?
The downstairs was kind of like had some of my painting studio set up and a reception area. Upstairs was the closet. Mezzanine office was in between.
All right, so it's your testimony that Defendant's Exhibit 512 reflects damage to the penthouse, Penthouse 5, that occurred during the December 15th, 2015 incident, right?
I'm just not sure from which incident this is a picture of, since I'm only looking at
Even
a
though your
partial
counsel
floor.
was asking you questions about December 15th, 2015, and then admitted this picture into evidence
Again,
in relation to that incident.
Sorry, go ahead.
In relation to that incident on December 15th, 2015. This exhibit, Defendant's Exhibit, you are the defendant, number 512, was admitted into evidence in this court. You testified that this was the result of damage that occurred on December 15th, 2015. Yes or no?
I just need to orient myself because I'm just looking at a picture of a partial picture of a
Ms.
floor.
Heard, you didn't just
so
look
I
at a
can't.
picture. You looked at your testimony.
You pointed me towards the page and then asked me a question. I haven't actually reviewed it. I don't know if this was submitted in relation to that incident.
Let's actually leave up Defendant's 512 and please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 725, which is already in evidence
Thank you.
in redacted form, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can publish.
Just side by side. You've seen this photograph as well, right?
I have.
On the third day of your direct testimony, you testified that this photograph reflected spilled wine in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, didn't you?
Again, I don't know because I'm looking at a partial picture of a floor. So unless you remove the metadata you've covered up, we could then tell. If you
I didn't cover it up, Your Honor.
Could we unredact
Your Honor
them so we could get context?
That's how it's in evidence.
That's how
All
it's in
right.
evidence.
Next question.
Well, the metadata next to it is so that
Ms.
to
Heard,
avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Heard,
confusion.
there is no question pending. and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I
It's
thought you had
inappropriate.
asked me about it.
No, I didn't ask you about anything. Let's look at your direct testimony from the third day. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's turn to page 4750 in day 17 transcript.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
4750. Specifically line 16. Do you see where Ms. Bredehoff asked you to describe for the jury what took place on May 21st, 2016?
I see that.
Okay. And do you see that your testimony is reflected about May 21, 2015?
Yes.
That follows? Okay.
Yes.
Now let's turn to page 4804. At line 14. 4804. Starting at line 14
Yes.
through 4805, line 4.
Going to what line?
Line 4 at 4805. Do you see that you're testifying that defendant's exhibit 725, which is reflected on the right side, reflects spilled wine on the floor in penthouse 5?
That's correct.
Okay, and defendant's exhibit 512 and 725 seem to be different versions of the same picture, don't they?
That's correct.
Okay, so which is it? Which one was taken on December 15th, 2015, or May 21st, 2016?
If you remove the redacted metadata, you can find out. It's right there.
Or if you're telling the truth, you would know.
Recognize a portion of spilled wine on a floor, and I'm supposed to know off the top of my head when you've
No.
lived through 5 years of this stuff? I don't think so. That's not how that works.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Ms. Hurd, at the beginning of your cross-examination
Your
last
Honor, may
week...
we approach?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, I would ask that there be no words or no phrases, no words, no sounds at all coming from you. If I hear one more sound, I will clear the gallery and we will continue this testimony without anybody in the courtroom. Understood? Good. All right, your next question.
Ms. Hurd, at the beginning of your cross...
A longer, meatier section of footage there, because there were various pauses as pictures were pulled up, etc. As we begin, a picture is shown of Hurd when she sought her domestic violence restraining order against Depp on the 27th of May 2016, and she confirms that it is. And she's then asked, and next to you is a woman named Jodia Gottlieb. She confirms that's the case. She's then asked, is this person your publicist? And Hurd confirms, yes, and dear friend. Why does she embellish that to say dear friend? Well, it's quite simply part of her facade management. Her narcissism can't help but add this extraneous detail of saying, do you know, I have friends, okay? Because I'm eminently likable. Remember, the narcissism only pauses when she's unconscious, and it's repeatedly needing to assert control over everybody that comes up in the radar, and that's not only in terms of providing the answer, but also in terms of adding to it to continue the assertion of control through facade management. A picture of Amber Heard and Rocky Pennington from May 28, 2016 is then shown, and she's asked if that's the case. I don't know when this was taken. Denial to nullify threat to control. This was the day after you got to the domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right? Asked Vasquez. I have no idea when this image was taken. Denial. Again, her narcissism draws her down that road to nullify the threat to control. There's no bruise on your face in this picture, is there? Challenge. Again, I don't know when this was taken, and I'm also outside, and I was obviously wearing makeup. I have no idea when this was taken. Issuing again of a denial in order to nullify the threat to control posed by the question. Vasquez offers a little bit of help. Let's refresh your recollection. She then makes reference to an article dated the 30th of May 2016 and asks if that's correct. That's what it says, yes. Note that Heard doesn't go, yes, that's right, but that's what it says, as if to say, why are you asking me stupid obvious questions, dumb fuck? Demonstrates her haughtiness. Vasquez continues, this article contains the same photograph of you and Miss Pennington that we were just looking at. Yes, I see that, comes the agreement, which enables her to assert control. She then reads the article title, and agreement is sought that it's the same, and Heard agrees. A picture is then shown of Amber Heard and Pennington of the May 28, 2016, and she's asked to confirm that that's the case. I don't know when this picture was taken, but it looks like the same outing as the picture prior, a partial confirmation. The picture shows that there's no bruise on your face in this picture, right? Challenge. I disagree. If it is taken when you represent when it was taken, then there's obviously a bruise on my face covered up by makeup, as per usual. Denial. Nullification of threat to control. That's just true, right? Challenge. Yes, that's correct. Nullification of control. Threat to control through agreement. Miss Pennington issued a sworn statement in support of your domestic violence application, didn't she? Challenge. I believe she did, yes. Essentially providing agreement, nullifying the threat to control. Mr. Drew also issued a sworn statement in support of your domestic violence application, didn't he? Challenge. I believe they both did, yes. Moving on from that, we're now shown a picture of the floor and a wine bottle. Vasquez begins, on the second day of your direct testimony, you testified that this was taken in the downstairs of the main apartment on December the 15th, 2015. Do you recall that testimony? Challenge. Yes, I believe so. Tentative agreement, nullification of threat to control. So it's your testimony that this picture reflects damage to Penthouse 5 that occurred during December 15th, 2015 incident, yes? Challenge. I'm not quite sure which incident this is when I see it in a vacuum without context. Non-confirmation, nullification of threat to control, arrogance. Let's give you that context, offers Vasquez. Notice that as Heard is answering these questions, her demeanour is of, yes, what trivia is this you're bringing before me now? What nonsense are you seeking to trouble me with? Her haughtiness is evident throughout. Material is then handed to Heard. She is directed to the record of her testimony. Let's talk about December 15th, 2015. Do you see that? Challenge. Yes. Nullification of threat through agreement. And then do you see that your testimony, December 15th, 2015, follows? Challenge. Let's see. Heard reads for a moment and then gives her confirmation. Nullification of threat to control through agreement. Vasquez directs Heard to page 4603, line 12, and to page 4604, line 4. Heard reads. Okay, she says. Do you see that this is a picture of the downstairs main apartment? Challenge. Correct. Comes the haughty response. Not a yes, but a correct, as if to say, you need my validation of what you're saying because I'm ever so important. Vasquez asks, and the main apartment is Penthouse 5 in the Eastern Columbia building, right? No. Well, the main apartment is Penthouse 3. Disagreement. Nullification of threat to control. Penthouse 5 was where you had your closet, asked Vasquez. Challenge. The downstairs was kind of when I had some of my painting studio set up and reception area. Upstairs was the closet. Mezzanine was obviously in between. She likes telling us that mezzanine means in between. Offers clarification, but again doesn't answer the question. Vasquez asks, it's your testimony that this picture reflects damage to Penthouse 5 that occurred during the December 15, 2015 incident, right? Challenge. I'm just not sure from which incident this picture is, because I'm only looking at a partial flaw. Non-confirmation again, resisting any form of admission, nullification of threat to control. I was asking you questions about December 15, 2015, and you admitted this picture into evidence in relation to this incident. This exhibit was admitted into evidence in this court. You testified that this was a result of damage that occurred on December the 15th, 2015. Yes or no? I just need to orient myself as I'm looking at a partial flaw. At this juncture, we are in effect getting some form of word salad, because she won't confirm something which is clearly something she's already confirmed. This, of course, is her driven by her narcissism to reject this, even when everybody else looking at it is probably thinking, we can see that you've already confirmed this was December the 15th, 2015, why won't you just admit it? Those of you who've been ensnared by narcissists will undoubtedly experience occasions where what you have sought to do is persuade the narcissist that the evidence shows precisely what you're saying that it is. But the narcissist maintains non-confirmation, denial. Why? Because you telling the narcissist that this evidence proves your point threatens the narcissist's control. And the narcissist will continue to deny this, obfuscate, deflect, and other manipulations, even where they've already admitted it was the case previously. Why? Because the admission now is a threat to control and the narcissist must not let it happen. You'll notice that as Heard is saying this, she looks at the jury as if to say, this is all nonsense, isn't it? Vasquez proceeds, no, Ms. Heard, you didn't just look at a picture, you looked at your testimony. Heard responds, you're putting me towards the page, then asking me a question. I haven't actually received it. I don't know if that was submitted in relation to this incident. More deflection and delay. But note, it's her actual own evidence that's been spoken about. That she put this picture in evidence. That she, in her testimony, said that it took place in December 2015, but now won't confirm her own testimony or her own evidence. Why? Because her form of narcissism is doing that because the suggestion to do so would be to give control to Vasquez in this moment, so it won't do it. The collateral consequence of this, of course, is that it's making Heard look stupid. Why won't you just fucking accept that this is your evidence, your photo, and your testimony? Her narcissism won't let her do it. Vasquez realizes there's nothing more to be gained and therefore moves on. There is then the presentation of two photographs shown side by side. You've seen this photograph, she's asked. I have, confirms Heard. On the third day of your direct testimony, you testified that this photograph reflected spilt wine on May 21st, 2016, didn't you? Challenge. Again, I don't know because I'm looking at a partial picture of a floor, so unless you remove the metadata you've covered up, we can then tell. She almost laughs at this point, Heard, because she's actually finding the whole thing utterly ridiculous in her world. Of course, there's a clear contradiction. She's using the same photograph for two incidents, but her narcissism will not allow that to get through to her, and instead she just breezes past it and starts talking about metadata. The arrogance of her answer, the deflection, going on to something else, driven, of course, by her narcissism, which will not let her make the concession. Vasquez explains that she didn't cover up the metadata. Heard then asks, could we then unredact that to get some context? Well, the metadata next to it is there to avoid this kind of confusion. At this juncture, Heard carries on, regardless, addressing the jury, exhibiting her sense of entitlement. She, of course, believes that she's just trying to clarify matters. She can't understand why Vasquez won't give her what she wants. That let's just look at the metadata and that'll clear it up. Vasquez interrupts her. There's no question pending, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't make argument to the jury. Sorry, I thought you'd ask me about it. False contrition, blame shifting. Namely, it was your fault. I thought you'd ask me a question about it, that's why I was talking. Vasquez states, I didn't ask you anything about it. Let's look at your direct testimony from the third day. Let's turn to page 4750 in day 17 transcript, specifically line 16. Do you see where you've asked to describe for the jury on May 21st, 2016? Challenge. Heard answers, I see that. Agreement, nullification of threat to control through agreement. And do you see your testimony is reflected with regards to May 21st, 2016? Yes. Nullification of threat to control through agreement. Now let's turn to page 4804, line 14. Yes. Through 4805, line 04. Do you see that you're testifying that the picture shows spilled wine on the floor of penthouse 5? Correct. Nullification of threat to control through agreement. Exhibit 512 seems to be a different version of the same picture, comments Vasquez. Amber Heard states, that's correct. So she actually confirms that it does appear to be the same picture that's being used for different events, thus confirming what is being stated. Vasquez, so which is it? Was it taken on December the 15th, 2015 or May 21st, 2016? Now, Vasquez ought to have just left the cross-examination there. She'd actually got Heard to admit that basically the same picture has been used on different occasions. She didn't need to ram it home, but she attempts to do so. And of course, by posing this question of which event is it, this threatens the sense of control for Heard, and therefore she responds with, if you redact the metadata, then you can find out. It's right there. She doesn't give an answer. Or, if you're telling the truth, comments Vasquez, you would know. That is a threat to control, and this suggestion that she's a liar causes the fury to appear momentarily, as Heard says rather testily, recognise a portion of spilled wine on the floor and I'm supposed to know off the top of my head when you've lived there 5 years. I don't think so. That's not how that works. An arrogant dismissal. Heard then shrugs as the lawyers approach, and of course the sound is muted. You will see that Heard looks around as if to say, gosh, this is tedious, isn't it? She looks at the jury. She looks at them again, and she takes a drink. Thereafter, the gallery are told off. Evidently, people in the gallery are muttering, bullshit, under their breath, or what a load of crap, when Heard is saying things, and the defence have complained about this. So the judge makes it clear, behave yourselves or the gallery will be cleared. So again, we see the way that her sense of control is being repeatedly threatened, and this circular situation, this failure to give any admission, is almost word salad response to the issue of the pictures. All very instructive. Join me in the next session as we consider more of what has actually been going on with regard to this cross-examination and understanding precisely what it means.